got a great app idea, or you need some back office software developed and don't know where to start. You know you need a dev team, but how do you build one? Well, in the next few minutes, I'll help you with that. I'll help you build and run your dev team, and you will be successful, and you'll be able to take care of that app, and you'll take it to the next level. I've got 25 years experience in the tech industry. My name is Matt. I'm your fractional CTO, and let me guide you through how I build and run dev teams. So first, let's talk through the different roles in a software development team. You've got, obviously, the developers, but those are split into different categories too. We've got back end, we've got front end, we've got full stack. You might be thinking, I don't know what that is. So let's talk about that. The front end, that's what you see. If you're on your mobile app or a website, the front end will be the buttons, the form fields, everything you're looking at, the graphics, things like that. A good front end developer will save you tons of time and money because they'll be able to see things that a poor or less experienced front-end dev won't be able to see. A lot of them are almost as good as a designer as far as designing the layout and workflow. And let's take a look at the user experience. How do we improve that? They're focused on a different thing. They're focused on how it looks and how it behaves. So that's the front end. The back end, they're concerned with everything that goes on behind the scenes. So when you click on the button, when you click save, the backend developer gets that payload and takes a look at it and saves it off to the data store, typically a database or something like that. The backend developer will also make API calls to other things you're integrating with, and it's a good combination to have a good front-end dev and a good backend dev. Now, what is full stack? That is what a lot of people say they are, but full stack really means they can do both, but they always lean towards one or the other. For example, when I was writing code, I was full stack, but I tend to lean towards the back end. I was actually better than most full stack developers at the front end, so I got stuck, for lack of a better word, working on a lot of the front end of websites and mobile apps and stuff like that. So that's the dev team. What else do we have? Well, we have a designer. So that's really helpful because engineer brain and designer brain are two completely different animals. Some front-end developers, as we discussed, they can do both, but they also lean towards one or the other, typically the engineer brain. Now, a full-blown graphic designer that can design your layout and stuff like that, those type of people are pure gold. When you find a good one, keep them and keep them busy. They can help you develop an app that looks good and has a great user experience, and it makes it easier too for the front end devs to be able to then take the design and run with it. We've also got QA, quality assurance or quality control, testers. Those people are also very valuable. That's one of the first things that gets cut in a project when budgets are tight. Those two, actually, the QA and the designer. But QA should be involved in the whole development process. When we're doing our planning, QA is there as well, so they can say, all right, how do I test this? What does a good test case look like? What does a bad test case look like? What are we really testing? And it will help the dev team also talk through how they're going to develop it and how it's going to be tested so that both sides can achieve the results that the client needs. Then there's a project manager or a scrum master. I like scrum master better than project manager because project manager goes to waterfall. Scrum master is agile. The Scrum Master is responsible for facilitating the meetings and for establishing the timeline, meaning we do 2-week sprints. That's the timeline. The team, not the Scrum Master, will determine what we can do in that 2-week sprint. Then there's the product owner. That is the business point of contact to the technical team. All these pieces are very key into the success of the project. If you're missing any one of them, the project is going to suffer. So a good product owner will be your liaison, and they will typically go back and forth between the technical team and the business and say, all right, here's where someone's blocked. How do we get them unblocked? Let's go talk to Joe in finance. He knows all the stuff that we need to know. Right? If you think of unblocking people, getting out of their way and let them doing their job. As part of the roles, you're going to want to see, well, do you have full-time employees already? Do you need a contractor? Do you need an agency? Do you want to outsource overseas, or do you want to keep everything in-house? a lot of cybersecurity, that's all done in-house. Some of it is overseas if it's not anything that's proprietary or critical for it to be a US-based person. But typically what I've done is I've had our clients had maybe 1 or 2, 3 developers, and we would go in and we would augment their team. We would be embedded with their team, and we would just act as one of their team members for a part-time basis. For the project, we're there full-time. We can help you out, and then we'll have a handover period so that the developers that are in-house can support the application. So if this still feels overwhelming, get 15 minutes on my calendar. There's a link in the description. I'd love to chat with you and see how we could help each other out. Okay, the next step is to hire the right people. How do you get the right people in place so that you can have a successful project? I always start with my network. I reach out to people I know and say, all right, this is what I'm looking for. Do you know anyone? Because a referral is always better than someone I've never met. The 2 things I look for is smart people that can get stuff done. I read this a long time ago. I don't even remember who said it, but those are the 2 criteria that I use. The technical stuff, yeah, that's important because there have been times when someone hasn't had the technical chops, but in a good interview, you'll be able to figure that out. If you don't have someone that can do a technical interview, you might want to hire someone that can do that temporarily for you, just on a contract basis. Lay out exactly what you're looking for and how that person can help you find the right person. Culture is also important. Most projects, it's kind of critical that it gets done quickly and on time, under budget. So that culture is not everyone is going to be a good fit in that culture. All the people I hire are pretty much self-starters. They're go-getters. They're top of their field. And so this type of environment, we always succeed because, well, we don't always succeed, but we typically succeed because we do hit the ground running. We have top-tier talent. And for this one client, we had a project that was supposed to take 6 months. And what we did is we took the full 6 months, but instead of doing, say, 3 features, we did 5 features. So we over-delivered, and we still kept our promise with the 6 month. We met that delivery and then some. They were very pleased with the output that we were able to get them. The next phase is onboarding. Like I said, I hire senior developers, top-tier talent, mid-level sometimes, but I don't have the capacity to hire a junior developer because that takes too much management for the senior developers. That's a cost versus benefit comparison. A junior developer will be cheaper, but they're also going to make mistakes. They're going to need a little bit more guidance. And it's not that they're not smart. There are a lot of really sharp people out there that are just getting started. The issue I have is we've got a 6 month deadline. I can't train this person and meet the 6 month deadline. So in my situation, that doesn't work for me. What do we do for onboarding? We don't have a big process. We're not a big company. We have very lean processes. We have a little bit of guidance, and I expect everyone on my team to ask someone if they don't understand something. I'll have check-ins with people and make sure that they're doing everything they should and that they don't have any questions. Try to just gauge the room, so to speak, on how they're doing. At the beginning of each project, we'll have, the Scrum has what's called a definition of done, which is great. And then on top of that, we'll also have like coding standards, unit test coverage, and things like that. That's really useful for every team member to provide feedback into that. That gives them ownership and then automatically makes them willing to police things as well. For example, if we want coding standard XYZ to always happen and Frank over here did ABC, well, we're going to have words so that we can get on the same page. Not like one person is over the other person, but just you got to have a discussion. Sometimes it's a challenging discussion, but it needs to be had. All right, the next step, fostering communication and collaboration. This is kind of a no-brainer. We always set up either Slack or Teams, depending on the client. I'll have something internal just for my team. And then if the client has something else, we'll use that as well. So we have visibility with the client, and we also have a place just for me and my team where we can collaborate as well. Because sometimes I know it's kind of hard to say, but sometimes we have problems with client and we need to brainstorm on how do we better deliver? How do we better communicate with our client so that we all succeed? We don't want to fail. We don't want them to fail. If they succeed, we succeed, and vice versa. So sometimes that team level communication is great. And then also having communication with everyone in the team, all the dev team and the client is really useful too, because we have visibility for the client. We need to build trust with everyone. We need to make sure that everyone feels safe to speak their mind, because I want their opinions. I don't need another me. I've already got me. We don't need two of me. We need what other people have to bring. So one project I worked on, it was ages ago. They were really struggling to meet deadlines and get projects out the door, get a good development process in place. I did something crazy. This was back at Skype. I set up a little Skype channel for us to use, and that greatly reduced the amount of churn that people spent on tasks. I said, if you're working on something for more than 15 minutes and haven't made any progress, hit us up on the chat. And they did that. And then when someone had an issue, the whole team could swarm and help them with that issue. And then we were much more productive, much more effective, and we delivered software a lot quicker. The next step is delegation and motivation and growth. So I'm always focused a lot on delegation. I think it's easy for people to say, well, no one can do it as good as I can. I don't know. Is that true? Probably not. There's no one on this entire planet that can do the same thing you do in this one aspect of your life. I don't know. So let's check the ego at the door. There are a lot of great people out there. There are a lot of smart people out there. There are a lot of people that can do things better than I can. So when I delegate, what I do is I tell people what to do. The how is up to them. For instance, if someone tells me, oh, Matt, will you take out the trash? Sure. But they don't tell me, oh, make sure you tie the bag twice before you take it out there, because that doesn't matter. If I want to tie it once, if I want to tie it 0 times or twice or 3 times, why does that matter? It doesn't. So focus on what matters, and that's the what. I need feature XYZ. I need save working in this detail screen. Fine, that's great. But you don't say, I want save to work in this particular way. You got to make sure you do this. You got to make sure you do that. And that is the how. The what is make save work. Here are the required fields. That's all a part of the what. So that's a really good thing to use whenever you're wondering, am I micromanaging? Think to yourself, am I telling them what or how? Because I hire smart people and I get out of their way. They are all motivated. They all want to get stuff done. They don't want to waste time. They want to be effective. They want to solve problems. And if you find someone that doesn't want to solve problems and doesn't want to work, that's a great opportunity for them to find someplace that's a better fit for them. I want them to be successful. I want me to be successful. Okay, the next thing is performance and challenges. So with performance, all of our work is in the software development realm is based on delivery. Do we meet our goals every sprint? That's basically your KPI. Do you do that? Yes or no? Regular one-on-ones help with that. See, a pulse check. How's the team doing? How's this individual doing? Are they being effective? And then, you can also gauge the room on how everyone else is interacting with each other. Now, sometimes people don't do a good job. That's just part of life. Some people, they just aren't a good fit, or they've got something going on in their life. I don't know. But one time I had this team I was working on. Someone came to me and said, okay, this other guy over here, he is having issues. I'm like, what are you talking about? Well, the code is not really doing what it should. So I looked at the code. I'm like, yep, that's like a smoke show.